Our next award is the Alan Rice Leadership Award. This award is presented to Dr. David Curby for his contributions in advancing the sport of wrestling. Here's an interesting fact that tells you, one, about Dr. Curby's wrestling ability, and two, how old he is. In 1971, the organization currently known as USA Wrestling held its first junior freestyle national wrestling championships. Dr. Curby was one of those initial winners. Then someone at least had the good sense to go teach him Greco-Roman wrestling. A 4-year start at the University of Michigan in 1974, Big Ten champion, Dr. Curby is the founder of the International Network of Wrestling Researchers, which to you and I mean they do a lot of numbers and stuff that we can't possibly understand. That's why they're doctors. That group involves wrestling minds from Iran, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Hungary. I mean, every country that's now known worldwide in wrestling, Dr. Curby gets to deal with their best and brightest minds. In 2010, Dr. Curby and his family started the Jacob Curby Foundation in memory of his son, a member of the U.S. Greco-Roman national team who tragically passed away that year. The foundation hosts the Jacob Curby Cup, one of the country's premier Greco-Roman events. And in my personal experiences with Dr. Curby, he has been absolutely gracious, fun-loving, and he is not afraid to bring up the fact that when he's behind you in airport security and he gets through before you do, he goes, ha ha. That is another wonderful memory from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Dave also said that we were talking about those of us that were in a room that went to Tashkent probably will never go back. But Dave, for some reason, he goes, I was on the banquet circuit. I love it. I'll go back anytime. Dave never got to experience the Tashkent Rumble. But what we can do tonight is put our hands together, make this place rumble with our 2014 Alan Rice Leadership Award winner, Dr. David Curby.
The last I saw Jason was in Tashkent. He was at the airport. He was being let off to do a strip search. He carries so much electronic stuff. He really stood out. But thank you very much for that introduction. And before I give some brief remarks, I want to thank the fine people at the National Hall of Fame, Leroy, Terry, and all the board of directors, the people at the Dan Gable Museum, especially Kyle Klingman, who helped organize everything in my family's behalf. Really appreciate it. As well, of course, Alan Rice, the reason why we're all here tonight. And we know that Gloria is watching us from heaven this evening and enjoying these festivities. You know, this is a program dedicated to Greco-Roman wrestling. And of course, Greco-Roman deserves this. As you well know, that Greco-Roman wrestlers are just some of the toughest guys on the planet. So it's something that we really, they deserve, and we want to honor all of these great people who are with us tonight. Now, before I do want to answer the question that I know is on everyone's mind this evening, and that is, how in the hell did Dave Curby come to receive the prestigious Alan Rice Leadership Award? He's on the same level as Jay Robinson and Wayne Blockman? I don't think so, but my answer is that I'm extremely lucky and blessed by God that I've been able to meet some of the greatest people in the world of wrestling. And I attribute a lot of my, what I've been able to accomplish to all of these great people that I've been able to rub elbows with along the way. Inspiration and aspiration are important words to me. We've already heard Terry mention inspiration. These words are important to our sport. But I know that they've played an important role in my entire life, especially with my life in wrestling. From an early age, I've been inspired by some of these heroes. I remember Dan Gable was my first hero. I think it was around 8th grade. I was on some very low-level junior high team, and they had Dan Gable's picture. He was a winner, and he was up there, and I looked at that picture, and I said, geez, I was inspired by that type of thing. And I continue to be. And I feel so fortunate to be able to meet Dan. Now I can call him a friend. But I've been driven to aspire to meet some of these people that to meet some of the achievements that they've been able to do. And that's what's driven me, and I guess will drive me the rest of my life. I was mentored by Mike Bradley, a name that some of you might know and maybe competed against. Mike Bradley was a Michigan State wrestler, but he was the guy that introduced me to international wrestling. And I really am indebted to him. I couldn't make it tonight. Through Mike, I got to meet Dean Rockwell. Sort of like the equivalent, no, I'm not going to say equivalent, but the Michigan's version of Alan Rice. Another man who was driven to give to wrestling, very humble. You know, Dean Rockwell, as some of you know, I really felt bad about this. I knew the man, and it wasn't until when he passed that I realized, that I came to learn that he was a hero at the D-Day invasion of Normandy. But that's the type of people we have in our sport. It was through this wrestling that I encountered some of the great wrestlers from the Minnesota Wrestling Club. Dan Chandler, Gary Neist, Pat Marcy, Bruce Thompson, Brian Gust, and so on, and on to the storm of today. Let me bring up some people, indulge me please, bring up some people who share this award with me. At the University of Michigan, I was mentored by our captain, my captain, Mark King. Mark, come on up, bring Carol. When I took my first teaching and coaching job, please, I don't care, whatever's comfortable, but you're receiving this with me as well. When I first received this, came to this job, they welcomed me. I was in their home, and they've meant so much to me. I've also been inspired by Carol and her, I don't know how many year battling multiple myeloma to this day. A great inspiration to me and so many people around the country. While at Michigan, I was also deeply influenced by my coach, Rick Bay, who did send his regrets. Unfortunately, wasn't able to be here. I know he was AD here at University of Minnesota for a while. But one of the most talented wrestlers I ever competed with was a guy by the name of Billy Davids. Billy, come on up, please. I warned him about this. He was a national Greco-Roman champ, senior champ, as a high school senior. He was so talented in Greco that when he and his brother Mark went over to the 1973 World University Games in Moscow, they gave these guys special trophies because they thought these American guys are throwing like crazy and they just wanted to honor them. Billy's parents, Joy and Lee, represent another great wrestling family, just like we've heard from the great Martinez family, and we just seem to have so many of these families that help our sport around the country. But they were the same type of family. Everything's wrestling. They've had so many wrestlers and grandkids to wrestling. But Billy was one of those guys that I really like to hang around with. Billy and I helped to coach the local club in Ann Arbor. It's the Ann Arbor, we're in Michigan, so we'd go over and help out the kids club. It was the Ann Arbor Wrestling Warriors. And Billy and I, we sort of brag about it. They were responsible for getting 2 world champions off to a good start. Zeke Jones and Tricia McNaughton Saunders. So, you know, we attribute most of their success to that good start. But anyway, as I said, these families, like Billy's, are just so representative of our sport. We've seen others besides the Martinez. We've got the Hazelwinkles, the Shorts of Minnesota, and we can go on and on. There's probably some other families in here in our group tonight. Another great influence that I had is Steve Frazier. Steve, come on up here. Steve's been a competitor, a coach, to me, a friend, and a mentor. I proudly repeat what Steve told me several years ago. And that I was actually up to precede him at Michigan by, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years. But anyway, I proudly repeat this, that he told me that I was actually one of his heroes when he was a kid. We do have to remember, though, that he was from Hazel Park, Michigan, and probably easily impressed. Speaking of Olympic champions, another person who has been like a brother to me, Momir Pekovic. Come on up, Momir. Come up here on the stage, come on. Is it good enough? Momir, but I'll tell you what, I've truly been blessed. You know when you just, and when you've discovered this, but I try to share it, is that when you get to know some of these great champions of our sport, you find out that they aren't just a wrestler, they possess a great heart, great love for the sport, and they actually become, as they get older, truly philosophers. They share insights with people that are truly so important to hear, and I've had so many great discussions with this guy that I really feel blessed. So thank you, Momir, for being here tonight. Of course, it's due to my son Jacob that I'm up here this evening. It was through Jake and his coach Ivan Ivanov, who couldn't make it tonight, that I began to apply my wrestling science to an actual team up there, the USOEC guys in Marquette, Michigan. When I showed up at Marquette, the guys didn't always greet me very enthusiastically. I thought that they confused me with some Irish guy by the name of Shit. But, oh, here he is again. And oh man, they would just, because we would have like about 2 days just of intense testing. And these guys, I got to know them and appreciate just how great they are, great as they are as human beings. Jake Fisher was a roommate of Jake's, and along with Jake, come on up here. He was, along with Harry Lester, was one of the first of that special crew of Ivan's up at the USOAC that made the national team. Jake is another one of these guys that comes from a great wrestling family. His father, brothers wrestled, and you know, his kids probably will be wrestlers as well. Such a hard-nosed kid. These are the type of guys that would, as from a physiological standpoint, you would say, you would just love working with these people because they would give out so much, and in 5 minutes he climbed up this rope, you know, a 10-meter rope 13 times. This is unbelievable to people just knowing just some of the normal fitness. I watched some of the CrossFit championships, and I see them doing the above the bar pull-ups, and you go above the bar, and guys in that room regularly did over 30 of them. And so they're just fantastic and highly trained athletes. And I just appreciate, and we're going to love these guys forever. A couple other guys that I want to mention. We've got, oh, by the way, Jake's here because he's now a member of the Minnesota Storm training here in Minneapolis. Along with that, another Minnesota native, Zach Nielsen. Come on, Zach. You know, another teammate of Jake's. Zach came in a little bit later. Jake was one of the older guys, but Zach has shared with me how much he looked up to Jake, and that Jake was somewhat of a mentor to some of the younger guys, and it always made my heart proud that that occurred. Another great wrestler here that we've seen in action. Another guy, I'll jump on the bandwagon, but I've been with Andy Bezic when he was just Andy. So come on up, Andy Bezic. You know, this guy, you know, he's done so much to demonstrate how hard work and steady training, steady training, and listening to your coaches will do for you. And he got the bronze medal for the United States over there in Uzbekistan. It was just a remarkable achievement. And when he beat Vlasov, the Olympic champion from Russia, I mean, it was just unbelievable how great we all feel. So, of course, I took him over to Tbilisi, Georgia, and I remember when you know, he was just Andy, and you know that he'd eat anything, and somebody bet him that he would eat something that was a hamburger on the ground, and he ate it. But don't do that, Andy. You're going to watch your health there. But anyway, he won't have to do that anymore. I want to invite Jordan Holm up here. Now, Jordan wasn't a teammate of Jake's, but he has wrestled in the Curby Cup twice, and both times he was voted the outstanding wrestler of the Curby Cup. Both times he beat a world champion. Great work, and I'm just so proud. I'm inspired to be around guys like this. He's a focused young man, and I just love him. Sorry, but can I bring a great friend up here, Larry Slater. I go way back with Larry, but Larry's got work to do and keep shooting those photos. Finally, I want to bring my son Nick. Nick, come up here, please. Bring your wife, Katie. I've been blessed to have two fantastic sons and a beautiful daughter-in-law, and also I have a beautiful daughter, an extraordinary daughter. She's a star soccer player, but unfortunately she has to be in a wedding in Ohio. And I did tell Nick that I have revised the will, and he's the sole beneficiary now. Nick was an All-American Greco wrestler himself, and he will inherit everything. Finally, Lynn, come on up here on stage with me. Lynn, my wife, doesn't believe it, but she is more important to me than wrestling. I'll tell you what, without her then, I would probably be living out of a car somewhere in the United States today, coaching wrestling at some club, you know, but I wouldn't be organized at all. So thank you for everything in that regard. Jake is here with us, of course. I want to share a quote. He left a quote from his website. You know, all the athletes try to promote themselves and get sponsors. But he left a quote that I really cherish, and I share with all of the wrestlers I meet, especially with my work through Beat the Streets Chicago. Let me just share this with you. His message was stated, it was very simple. You control who you are or want to become in the future. My experiences as a world-class athlete have taught me to be resilient. My battle with cancer taught me to be tough. My relationship with God, family, and country have taught me to be thankful. I cannot guarantee a world championship, but I can guarantee total dedication. I will never fail a drug test. I will always be in shape, and I will always conduct myself in a manner that will make my sponsors, family, and country proud. It's easy to see why I was inspired by Jake. Thank you to all of you for the inspiration that you've provided me. And I'm proud to accept this award for all of us. So please, I don't know if we're going to accept an award, but we're all going to be part of it too. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much. I've been inspired by you, all of you. I really cherish you. Thank you. Thanks, everything. Thank you guys. Yes, thank you for being here. Yes, it was an audience.